or she gets a special whistle, or I'm gonna check her off the ball here just because. And then her teammate cheers for her for throwing her on the ground. It didn't get better. And it's disappointing to me because it's not every player in the WNBA. And I'm sure that there are many players who are happy to have her in the league. And it's like, if it was my league and somebody was coming in and bringing millions of people, like, I would be excited about
not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player. So it's all.
It feels like every week in the world of basketball, there's another strange and almost unbelievable twist in the ongoing saga surrounding Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever, and the whirlwind of energy, both good and bad, that follows her everywhere she goes. What was supposed to be a dream pairing of a generational talent with a franchise hungry for relevance has instead turned into a complicated, and at times almost toxic situation, filled with media leaks, behind-the-scenes grumbling, on-court hostility, and a fan base unlike anything the league has ever seen. And now, thanks to a revealing piece from Scott Agnes at Fieldhouse Files, the public has been given a rare and raw peek into what's allegedly going on inside the Fever's walls. Agnes, a veteran reporter with deep connections to the team, didn't mince words. He claimed there are people within the organization who view Caitlin Clark's unprecedented popularity as a problem, a dark side, that has brought with it an intense struggle in dealing with her fans. Think about that for a second. The Fever are selling out every game, attracting national media attention at levels the WNBA has never experienced, moving more merchandise than some NBA teams, and dominating conversations across social media. And yet, according to this report, certain individuals inside the franchise see all of that as a burden rather than a blessing. This isn't internet rumor. This isn't some anonymous blog post written for clicks. This is someone with credible, trusted access essentially saying that the organization is wrestling with the very thing that is making it relevant again. For many fans, the reaction to such a claim is simple disbelief. The idea that a struggling franchise, one that was lucky to draw a few thousand fans a night before Clark, would be anything but overjoyed by her arrival is baffling. But according to Agnes, the sentiment is real. Some within the Fever apparently believe that a chunk of Clark's following is not there for the team, or even for women's basketball in general, but solely for her. They see it as a distraction. That means all those sold-out games, all those jerseys flying off the shelves, all those TV ratings hitting record highs, somehow, inside the building, that's seen as a mixed blessing. It's an argument that sounds absurd on the surface. If you're a fan of a player, you're still a fan of the game. If you buy a ticket to watch her play, you're still filling a seat, buying concessions, creating an atmosphere. But in the minds of certain individuals, the Fever have become the Caitlin Clark show, and they're struggling with how to handle that shift. And the timing of this tension is particularly strange, because the team itself has started to find some rhythm. Big wins, like their recent victory over the Seattle Storm, have shown that they can compete. And yet, instead of unity and momentum, there's this cloud of internal friction. The most troubling part is that this tension doesn't just exist in whispered conversations in the front office, it's visible on the court. From her very first WNBA game, Clark has been treated like more than just a rookie. She's been a target. Yes, every rookie has to go through some degree of "welcome to the league" treatment, but this has gone far beyond the usual physical play and competitive fire. There have been elbows that don't look accidental, hip checks that serve no basketball purpose, and hard fouls that feel more like statements than defensive plays. One of the clearest examples came during a game against the Chicago Sky, when Kennedy Carter delivered a blatant, off-ball hip check that sent Clark sprawling. The play was ugly, unnecessary, and intentional, and Carter didn't hide it. She made it clear afterward that it was no accident, confirming what many already suspected. There's a resentment toward Clark that runs deeper than competition. Some of it might be jealousy over her rapid rise. Some of it might be frustration with the non-stop media attention she receives. Some of it might be a belief among veterans that she hasn't earned it yet. But whatever the reasons, the hostility is real, and it's coming from all corners of the league. Adding to the drama, Clark has been sidelined with an injury for a good portion of the season. The Fever recently released an official update confirming that she had undergone further evaluations, that there was no additional damage, and that she would continue her rehab without a set timetable for return. ESPN has floated August 12th as a possible return date, but it's far from guaranteed. And here's where the conversation takes another strange turn. if the Fever were to go on a playoff run and even win a championship without her playing most of the regular season, how would that title be perceived? Some would say a championship is a championship, no matter the circumstances. But others would argue it wouldn't hold the same weight for her personally, that critics would use her absence to diminish the achievement. The whispers would be that she rode the team's success rather than leading it. And while that argument might not be fair, in the harsh world of sports narratives, perception often becomes reality. Beyond perception, the raw financial impact of Caitlin Clark is impossible to ignore. Before she arrived, Indiana Fever tickets were dirt cheap and easy to get. The team played in front of sparse crowds, averaging around 4,000 fans. Since she joined, attendance has quadrupled to over 17,000, and the demand is so high that road games in other cities regularly sell out too. When she was injured and announced as out for a game against Chicago, ticket prices didn't just drop, they collapsed overnight, plunging by more than 70%. That's not a small effect. That's a seismic shift in value directly tied to one player. Merchandise sales have seen a similarly staggering explosion, with the WNBA reporting a 500% league-wide increase, almost entirely fueled by Clark's jersey. She is, in every measurable way, the financial heartbeat of the league right now. Without her, the Fever don't just lose a player, they lose their main draw, their national profile, and their relevance. This is why the idea of trading her, which has been quietly floated in some corners, borders on insanity. The reality is that Caitlin Clark is not just a basketball player, she is a cultural phenomenon. Her fan base isn't the typical casual crowd that might stick with a team through ups and downs. These are Caitlin Clark fans first, team fans second. They followed her from Iowa, they buy tickets to see her regardless of location, and if she were traded, they'd follow her to her new city without hesitation. If she were gone, the Fever wouldn't retain that audience. They'd be right back to empty seats and minimal coverage. And yet, as if the internal tensions and on-court hostility weren't enough, the situation escalated to an international level with her exclusion from the Team USA Olympic roster. The official reasoning given was her lack of experience and the need for established chemistry, but many saw it as an outright snub. The most popular and most watched player in the women's game being left off the biggest stage felt like a deliberate statement that no matter her impact, the old guard wasn't ready to fully embrace her. To her millions of fans, it reinforced the growing belief that powerful forces in the sport are uncomfortable with how quickly she's become the face of the league. The irony is that Caitlin Clark hasn't come into the WNBA tearing others down or demanding the spotlight at the expense of her teammates. She's simply played her game, and her game has changed the conversation. She's brought attention, ticket sales, sponsorships, and mainstream media coverage that the league has been chasing for decades. For others to resent that instead of embracing it feels short-sighted at best and self-destructive at worst. Inside the Fever locker room, the situation is equally complex. Before Clark arrived, Aaliyah Boston was the clear future of the franchise, the top pick, the Rookie of the Year, the cornerstone. Now she shares the stage, whether she likes it or not. For veterans like Kelsey Mitchell, who endured years of irrelevance and half-empty arenas, the sudden surge in popularity is both a blessing and a bitter reminder that it took someone else to bring it. They're enjoying the benefits: charter flights, media attention, better facilities. But human nature makes it hard not to feel some level of, "Why now? Why not for us?" Clark's impact is so massive that she's essentially become the WNBA's needle, not just moving it. She and the Fever account for nearly half of the league's total broadcast value. That's not a contribution, it's dominance. And yet, if the Fever can't figure out how to harness that energy, they risk losing it. The truth is that this isn't just about basketball. It's about control. Caitlin Clark's rise has been so meteoric that it has outpaced the league's ability to manage it. She's not just a player who can be marketed. She's a movement that operates outside of the traditional system. The Fever and the WNBA can either ride that wave or try to contain it, and history is full of examples of what happens when you try to contain something unstoppable. If the Fever were to trade her, it wouldn't just be a roster move, it would be a self-inflicted implosion. Their national relevance would vanish overnight, while the team lucky enough to land her would inherit a ready-made global audience and an immediate boost in revenue. Indiana would be left issuing press releases about building for the future to a half-empty arena, watching from the sidelines as Clark lifted another franchise to unprecedented heights. Right now, the Fever are sitting on the most valuable asset the WNBA has ever seen. The question is whether they will recognize it in time.